Hi guys, welcome to a brand new episode of the Arsenal Bay podcast with me, Samrit, and of course Ashwin on the other side. We're a brand new Arsenal channel. We're present on pretty much all social media channels. So on Twitter, we're at the Arsenal Way. We have a Facebook page at the Arsenal Way, and of course YouTube, where we upload most of our stuff. So subscribe, click the bell icon to be notified whenever we put up a new video, which is usually once or twice a week when the season's underway. This episode, we're going to be running through a quick recap of how the season's been, followed by five categories of our player of the season, young player of the season, goal of the season, the most disappointing player of the season, and of course, the latest breaking news on Raul moving out of Arsenal. So, Ashwin, before we get into the more interesting stuff, great end to the season, lifting the FA Cup for the 14th time. But your overall thoughts on the season, on how you think how we started with the amazing signings last year, and your expectations then versus how we were in middle and how we ended on high finally.
I mean, the start was amazing. We signed with Adidas, and they gave us three amazing kits. I don't think we've ever gone through a season where we've had three amazing kits. It was hard to choose to. I mean, hard to decide to which one was the better one. Started, like as you mentioned, started off really well because we made some really good signings. We spent a lot of money in the window. We addressed a lot of issues that we needed to address in the squad. Bought in players like Kieran Tierney, Pepe, signed Ceballos on loan, signed Saliba, obviously a young player who went back to France and will come back to us this season. So excited about that. Signed David Luiz as an experienced player because we lost Koscielny. So it started off really well. But having said that, I was pretty much Emery out from the middle of last end of last season, and that Europa League defeat was the final nail in the coffin for me. So getting into the season, I knew it was going to be really hard. And I still remember very well mentioning it to the group, saying that, you know what, now Emery's been backed by the board. He's given what he's wanted. We've gone out and spent the money, and if he doesn't deliver, his neck's on the line. And that's exactly what happened. Started off the season poorly. It just kept getting worse and worse. We went through spells where teams like Watford and Norwich had like 20 and like 25 shots on goal against us and started dominating games.
I think
It,
we went 12 games without winning across
yeah,
competitions.
yeah. So it was terrible. The final nail in the coffin was that game against Leicester, where you and me both said there was an international break coming, and that we both knew that we were going to lose that game, and that was when every should have been sacked, but the board dithered, and apparently at that time, I don't know how true it is, but Raul really wanted to keep Emery and give him another chance, but more on that later. But yeah, we wasted a couple of more weeks there before we finally took a call, and then gave it to Freddie, who again was very shocking. Like I'm not against giving it to Freddie, but if you're going to give it to a
Out of
caretaker
depth,
manager,
out of his depth, yeah.
firstly out of his depth, secondly give him the sort of backing. He was helped by Per Mertesacker, who's the junior team coach manager, the academy coach manager. He didn't have a real setup, so I think Freddie got about 3 or 4 games, and then was when I think Man City came to the
Mikel.
Emirates and they completely demolished us. And
Yeah.
I think that was the final nail in the coffin for everybody sitting there and realized that, you know what, we have to go out and get somebody. And that was the night, I think, when Arsenal executive followed Mikel to his house, and then that picture of Vinay coming out of Mikel late night was what we knew. And then 2 days later, we had Mikel coming in. So it started off poorly. And then obviously with Mikel coming in, a lot of people said that Arsenal didn't get the manager bounce, the new manager bounce that we were supposed to get. But I'm happy in a way that we didn't get the new manager bounce, because usually what happens with the new manager bounce is that the team does really well and then they end up dipping. I think ours started really differently. It took us time to get back that confidence, and we ended the season really strongly. Obviously, we finished eighth. It's not where we want to finish, but we ended up with the trophy. We won the FA Cup, beating teams like City and Chelsea, even Sheffield United, which again teams who finished above us, not very easy. So started off crappily, but there was a I don't know if you can say if this can be considered as the as a salvation or whatever. But the FA Cup sweetened a terrible year for us. Yeah, I mean, that's how I felt. I know you've had the same feelings, but how did you think the season went for us?
No, so I think I pretty much bang on with your review. It started off terribly. I think the only thing that was great was we got fabulous jerseys, and I think I forget who tweeted out at the time that even though we're gonna have a crappy season, we're gonna look good wearing the jerseys doing it. Um, but no, we it seemed like the right noises were coming out from the club in the summer with the right signings. Pepe 72 million, Martinelli, Saliba, etc., etc. I mean, we made the right signings. Um, for you, it was maybe if I remember correctly, you mentioned it was the City game that was the final Leicester game. I think that was for you. For me, it was the Watford game. I think which we were up 2-0 and then we conceded 30 shots.
No,
Go
I
on.
mean, you and me both said that Leicester game should have been his final game, which
Yeah,
didn't
final game.
happen.
So you're right.
Didn't
Yeah, I
happen.
remember that. But for me, I think as disappointing as last season was, and we've discussed this as well in the past, that we should have qualified for the Champions League, and his team setups were wrong from game 30 to 34 onwards, where we should have very easily qualified for the Champions League. For me, I think I just had enough of Emery. I was still willing to give him a chance because of just his first season, and I get that. And he didn't maybe didn't have the players, so he had a good summer. But for me, I think I was done with him at the Watford game. Just how we played, that was horrible. I think that is the worst I've seen us play. Uh, and if only then I'd known that it was going to get worse and worse and worse. Um, he was sacked a couple of weeks too late. You and I both called for Arteta or whoever the new guy was to have come in before the Leicester game, so he has a 2 week window, can get some ideas in. But that also happened too late. The City game, of course, was then where um, post that was when Arteta came in, and I mean, kudos to Arteta, man, for coming in at a point in January where he had no signings to speak of. He had a dysfunctional team that was performing well under par, unmotivated players, players who were booed off by their own fans, um, COVID, being struck down by COVID, having a 2.5, 3 month layoff from football, coming back, beating the likes of a City and a Liverpool, and winning the FA Cup and finally qualifying for Europa. And as much as you and I both hate the Europa League, it was essential for us because we needed the funds because we're struggling in terms of our finances. Um, so I would hope I never get to see such a season like this ever again, even though there was silverware at the end of it. But this season is genuinely just like it sucked the life out of me. Like I was thinking, what am I even doing watching this club anymore? It was so draining. It was just emotionally exhausting. It was just boring. I didn't want to watch us. I didn't want to watch us play. I'd rather have plucked my eyebrows out than watch Arsenal play. Like it was that bad.
I remember you and me
Um,
discussing that, the love affair that we had with Arsenal, waiting every weekend and everything revolving around Arsenal for the weekend just went away under Emery.
yeah, it was like it used to be like, oh, I can't wait to plan my day on Arsenal. Now it was like, really, like, am I really going to sit for 2 hours of this? Um, but no, I think on a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably give this season, and only because we won the FA Cup, I would probably give it a 6. And that's also generous, I feel.
Yeah.
If we didn't have the FA Cup, it would be a 4. Again,
Possibly worse. I would probably give it like a 3. I think
yeah,
everything
no,
we discussed.
I wouldn't debate that at all. I would the FA Cup probably gives it the additional push.
Yeah, I think 5.5, 6 is fair. You know,
Yeah.
I just have to bring up one point. I know you speak about how he was still wanting to give Emery that chance. I got flack from a lot of people telling me that, and this was multiple different people that I used to talk to, and because they said that I didn't get over the fact that the club let Arsene go, and I loved Arsene, right? So they said that you're basically just not wanting to accept a new manager. But I remember clearly saying, you know what, I'm all for giving a person or manager time because coming into a new league, coming into a new team takes time, and coming into a team where a manager's managed a team for 22 years, it's really hard, right? So I'm all for that. But if you clearly remember, the 22 games that we went unbeaten in the first season under Emery was not anything special. There
Unconvincing.
was no plan.
Unconvincing.
It was basically the new manager boost that we got under Emery,
Yeah.
and it was his star players bailing him out. There were no games that we went out and thrashed teams 4-0, 5-0.
Convincingly won. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were
Convincingly. Yeah.
winning like 2-1, 3-1 because last minute Oba would score a goal or Laka would bail him out or things like that. And we both knew at some point it is going to like stop. It's
Your
not
luck's
going
gonna
to
run out.
last.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his luck's going to run out, and that's eventually what happened. It's not like towards the end of the season that he completely lost it, and I think the players understood that as well, that he has no clear plan. You can clearly see the difference between how the players come out talking about how Mikel is and the sort of plan that he has, and everybody buys into that plan because they're seeing what he's doing, and they're seeing that, okay, if Mikel is saying do A, and in a game that situation actually pans out, they're like, oh wow, okay, he's prepared us for this, so we know what to do, right?
Yeah.
And that just shows basically we beat Liverpool, we beat City in a week, we beat Chelsea, we beat United, we beat Wolves, we beat Sheffield. When was the last time we beat these teams, man? Like, okay, I know we've gone through periods under Wenger where we've beaten them like in the FA Cup and things like that, but for for us this season, where we thought that our team was completely finished, where we looked like absolutely mid-table, actually even worse than mid-table. I mean, we're still mid-table, but for us to go and beat these guys and convincingly do it shows that, okay, if you back Arteta, you give him the sort of backing or the funding that he requires or the players that he wants to work with, he can take us to places. I'm not saying he's going to win us the league, but there's a possibility next year we might fight for top four, right? Or we might fight for maybe top five, if not from eight, if it comes too high. But at least there's a plan. At least when Mikel plays football, I remember very clearly when after the Man City game, there was a interviewer who asked Mikel saying that, do you feel nervous when your team plays out the back? And he's like, no, I feel nervous when my team doesn't play out the back. So that's the confidence he's trying to breed versus what Emery was trying to do trying to play out from the back, right? Do you remember when Czech
Yeah.
was playing out the back, and all of us
And he
had a
almost kicked it into his own goal.
yeah, we had our hearts in our mouth because we were like, bro, what is happening? Like, why would you do it? We were all saying, kick the ball forward because we were like, this is not working, right? So it's for Arteta to take this team from where it's been this season has been phenomenal, right?
I
But
think
no excuses.
for
A team
me,
like
for
Arsenal
me, from
to finish eighth. I'm sorry, to
sorry, go on.
finish eighth it has to be a disastrous season. You cannot write off the season. You have to learn from the season, and you have to be at least top four. You know?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think for me the biggest sense of belief I think from the players is the fact that when Arteta said, one, we need to suffer together, and if you suffer together, you're going to win things together. So I think that philosophy that he's been preaching since the day he came in,
Yeah,
um, and we saw against the City game, and the Liverpool game, where we were on the back foot for pretty much the entire game, but we still managed to win them. And it wasn't we were on the back foot and we were unconvincing like we have been in the past. It was a solid defensive, solid rearguard performance from us, and we took a chance when it was required. So that aspect of Arteta saying, we suffer together, we'll win more, and also the fact that his communication, when just bringing a belief and tell, if in scenarios A, B, C, you do these X, Y, Z things, and this is going to happen. That's what happens. So that, I think, just that confidence, even though the players who may have not bought into it earlier, but when they started seeing that happen, and now that's resulted in his first trophy in 6 months. Pochettino was at Spurs for 3 years, 4 years, and didn't win a thing, and Arteta has done it in 6 months, 7 months. Um, so that is huge, and he's destined for bigger and better things, and
and
hopefully that,
he's shown that he can improve a player. That's what a manager's
yeah,
job is. It's not that you
yeah,
have to go and buy the best players in the world and put them together and play, right? Okay, that is part of a manager's job as well. But as a manager's primary job is to improve what you have, and he's done
yeah,
that. I mean, who would have thought that we would have said that Scotland Mustafi was a miss in the final because we were all like, we don't need him, but he improved him. He improved David Luiz. He improved Granit Xhaka, who at one point was supposed to leave the club, right? he even improved Aubameyang playing out from the left wing, where we thought that that I remember clearly from the start of the season we were all shouting saying that why is Aubameyang playing on the left? Down the middle is where he scores goals, and you can't really play Aubameyang like that together. But since Arteta's come, he's only played him on the left, and Aubameyang's again he was one shot of the golden boot and scoring and saving us for the season. But it's been phenomenal. I just hope that we can keep a hold of Mikel, and Barca don't come calling for Mikel, because it's a possibility. And Mikel's grown up in Barcelona, so that when somebody comes calling, at some point DNA is going to kick in, and you're going to want to
Yeah,
leave.
yeah. I hope that's not the case. I
Yeah,
hope it's not a repeat of Fabregas.
yeah.
But moving on, second part for show. Top performers of the season. Your player of the season so far.
Oof, so it's tough. I'm gonna player of the season. I mean, I know you and me, we're gonna obviously go for the main choice, but I have to give a shout out to Bern Leno from the first half of the season under when we were
Yeah.
playing under Unai Emery, where teams were battering us with shots on goal. He was the savior. Without him, we'd have probably been 19th or 20th in the league, because every team was just taking shots at us and were just confident playing Arsenal. Like there was a point when smaller teams, like no disrespect to them, but they would come and like they would know that Arsenal are there for the taking, and they would just ram us and go away. So like a special mention to Bern Leno. Unfortunate that he picked up an injury, but Bern Leno special mention for me. Player of the season has to be one man, which we need to tie down and we need to keep, is Aubameyang. Um, that guy is phenomenal. Like when I thought Arteta would come, and there were talks of when we signed Aubameyang that they said that at Dortmund he was a bad influence. He was a negative influence in the dressing room, and we're signing a player that is towards the end of his career. He's not going to be able to do well. For him to come play that position under Arteta on the left, not only I remember the first 3-4 games, I thought Arteta's moved him there. He's being the one of the senior figures in the group is not going to want to listen to Arteta. There were games when Aubameyang would be right on our box defending and making sliding challenges and defending for the team. And if you can see a player like that doing that, and like in like the 70th, 80th minute, giving his all. So for me, his goals, his attitude, the way he's performed, uh, for me, it has to be Aubameyang, uh, and nobody else. Like for me, 2 goals in the semi-finals, 2 goals in the finals of the FA Cup against Chelsea, against Man City. Scored 22 goals, scored 29 goals in the season completely overall, um, and doesn't look like he's going to stop. We just need to tie him down, because if we don't, we're going to have a tough time replacing him. So definitely for me, my player of the season goes to Aubameyang. What about your player of the season? Who's your player
Yeah,
of the
no,
season?
I would. I don't. I wouldn't be. I would also probably go with Aubameyang. I think, special mention is different. I would give that to Granit Xhaka for the redemption that he's had. Like it's
This
been a
coming
tough
from
season
you,
for him.
this coming from you, I must say is amazing, because at one point you were like Chaka out. I remember.
No, I was pissed off. I've been fond of the guy. Just don't agree with the attitude that happened for me. Um, but I would say like the redemption story for him has been fabulous. I've never wanted him to leave. I think I just got pissed off with how with that Palace game and his behavior as club captain. Um, but from that to almost leaving to having a breakdown relationship with the fans, in such a public display of petulance, or whatever you want to call it, um, to have been like the stabilizing factor for Arteta that's in the middle of the park, uh, and to have then ended up winning a trophy, to have stuck around. I'm grateful that he did, because I don't think we would have had as great an end to the season if there was somebody else there. But special mention to Grant Xhaka. But I agree with you. The player of the season for me has to be Aubameyang. We wouldn't be even close to where we finished if it wasn't for his goals. We wouldn't have won the FA Cup if it wasn't for him. And you're right, it's not just his goals; it's his overall contribution to the game. Like he ran himself to the ground with his defensive performance as well as his scoring. So I would say Aubameyang as well.
So this season, what's been really great is that we've actually managed to blood in a lot of youngsters, and from the Hale end, from the academy, and we bought some few good, very good youngsters as well. So, who's your young player of the year? Who you've been impressed with the most?
Uh, I mean, look, it's the popular choice is of course Saka, just because of his emergence. I think it was before the break he had 10 goals and assists throughout the season. I think he ended with what 12 or 15. I forget. I don't remember the exact number. But I was very impressed. So I'll give Young Player of the Year to, of course, Saka for just how great his emergence has been, and a very well deserved contract. Losing him would have been awful for us. Um, but I was really happy with how Willock started the season. He sort of tailed off, maybe because the Premier League is it's tough. It's not easiest for everyone to come and adapt. But that goal that he scored
Against Liverpool?
at Liverpool, 40-yarder, top corner, clean as they come. That was great. But Saka, for his left foot, his assist, his game awareness, his defensive ability to be called on to play as a fullback, as a left back. He made that spot his own. We were actually struggling to see what we're going to do. We thought we were in shambles when Tierney got injured, and we had nobody there because Kolasinac was an accident waiting to happen.
I think Kolasinac was injured as
Um,
well at that time. We were short on
yeah,
defense.
and he was fabulous, fabulous at the back, great going forward, great awareness, chipped in with a great number of assists, chipped in with a few timely goals as well. The volley at Wolves is very very fresh in the mind. Um, so yeah, I would give it to Saka,
Let's not forget he's got the number 7 shirt as well next season. So.
number 7 shirt as well now. So
I can't disagree with you. I mean, special mention. I know you mentioned Joe Willock, but for me, special mention has to go to Martinelli because he started the season on fire.
yeah.
Nobody expected him to start the season the way he did. And to be honest, if he didn't get injured, I think he would have probably given Saka a good run for his money. It's just that Saka was uninjured, and then he probably contributed.
Even Lacazette, for that matter, he could have taken up that number 9
Number,
position.
yeah. Like I'm very excited to see what we can do with him next season, and I'm sure Mikel as well. You spoke about the Willock goal. Uh, I can only remember Martinelli's goal at Stamford Bridge too.
Chelsea.
Yeah, it was Aubameyang had that red card, so he was missing, and we needed somebody to come in. And oh, what a goal! Like I'm getting goosebumps
Ran
just
the
thinking about it.
ran the length of the pitch pretty much
Oh,
from a Willian corner,
that celebration at the
surprisingly.
end for him to just go and
Yeah.
stand.
And ironically from a Willian corner and a Mustafi clearance.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Arsenal thinking ahead already,
So
signing
yeah.
players that create an
So
assist.
that was your young player of the year. Your goal of the season.
Um, Again, so it's between three. You spoke about Joe Willock's fantastic curler at Anfield, 40-yard strike. Uh, the goal that Lacazette scored against Spurs, if you remember, 1-1. Or was it?
One
Yeah, it
touch, yeah,
was.
the two
Yeah,
two touch,
oh,
and banged it in, yeah.
and
Super
Martinelli's one at Stamford
solo
Bridge.
run, yeah.
So, uh, I mean, it's really tough. That Lacazette goal was amazing the way he scored it, and I remember the Emirates was on its feet because obviously it was a derby. We were playing Spurs, and it meant a lot. We were losing, and then we came back level with that goal. But I have to give it to Martinelli for somebody so young at the age of 18 to do what he did, to take the ball from where he ran and 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 slot it so easily past the keeper with like absolutely no hesitation at all. That has to be goal of the season for me. Like I know, I mean, it's nothing compared to what Thierry did against Spurs, but you get that sort of feeling that from because the area he picked up the ball was very similar to where Henry got the ball from, right? And for him to just go and do it, and again that was a game again that we were losing, and were we down to 10 men? I think we were down to 10 men in that game as well.
We
So
got
we
it down 10. I think we brought it back
to
back to 2-1, 2-1, 2-2.
no, so that was 1-1, and then they scored. Aspilicueta scored immediately after
And
that,
it
and
was
then
Bellerin who equalized. Yeah,
Bellerin,
Bellerin who
yeah.
equalized. Yeah.
So for me that had to be goal of the season, and just he was amazing. Like it was, I don't know. I mean, I know you've spoken about Joe Willox having his goal of the season, but what is your goal of the season?
No, no, I would. I mean, you took my choice. I was also gonna go for Martinelli because every time I watch that goal, except for that except for just before he reaches the halfway line, he sort of miss kicks it,
Yeah,
and luckily Kante
Kante
slides
slips.
and Kante slips. Um, but to have ran half the length of the football pitch with such great control, with the ball barely leaving his feet, and to then have with the coolness to side foot it into the corner, and just like that the number of times I've rewatched that sequence of him side footing it, and just going is beautiful to watch. And how the ball is very comfortably nestled in the bottom corner, and he just stands there with this celebration. Um, yeah, Martinelli for me as well. Super goal. Um, Special mention, I would say, to of course our player of the season, Oba, for the chip over
Ah, Zuma.
Willie Caballero in the final.
Yeah,
Azu,
Azu
Azu uh, left Zuma
for dead.
nowhere, spun like a top.
If
Yes,
you
left
if
Zuma
you
for dead.
if you actually watch the replay that actually the video that FATV put up on YouTube, they have no audience noise there, right? So you can hear somebody in the background shouting, "Oh my God!" And that's actually Rio Ferdinand's ring, and you can hear him from across the pitch as
Oh
soon as.
yeah, I haven't.
Oh, that is amazing because they put that up, okay, and Rio actually found that tweet. So somebody tweeted saying that because somebody thought it was somebody from the Arsenal team or Lacazette shouting, "Oh my God!" And then Rio found that tweet and said, "No, no, that was me." You could hear me screaming, "Oh my God!" And it's amazing. As soon as he turned Zuma, you could hear Rio going, "Oh my God!" And you knew it was going to be. It was done. The game was
Yeah,
done.
no, that I think that goal for me was. I think
Special.
I would special. Yeah, I wouldn't say top five, but I sorry, not top five. I wouldn't say it's goal of the season for me, but special mention. I can't look past the Martinelli goal. It's just it's everything that it does. It's just a very pretty goal to keep look back. Like I think I watched it like thrice already today. I just love the way he very calmly took that in. Um, your moving on to the next category for us. The most disappointing player for you this season.
There are a lot of players. I mean, there's Guendouzi, like after how he's shown, and for him to have that. I mean, for a player with so much potential and to have such a bad attitude, and I thought he'd probably be like a perfect fit under Arteta, young, who's got the talent, who's got the quality, who can shine. It's disappointing, but I'm not going to pick Guendouzi. He's a special mention for me. I'm actually more disappointed with his midfield partner in Torreira. I know his season didn't start off well. Emery played him in the number 10 position and made someone so good look like a headless chicken just running on the pitch. He made him look worse than Flamini at times, right? So uh, Torreira for me has to be the worst player, the most disappointing player of the season because I think he's just not been able to get his confidence after that. And for I remember when we signed him, it wasn't the Euros, no, it was the World Cup that we saw him before when we signed him. And I remember him being like a pit bull. And the first season that he came, he was all over the pitch. But then, what was Emery thinking? Dropping one of the best number 10s in the world in Mesut Ozil and playing a defensive midfield there probably completely ruined probably ruined that guy's career. I hope either that he can get it back if he stays with us or if he's being sold, that he can go back to a slower league and rediscover that form that he had. Because for me, even now when Torreira comes on, either because he doesn't have the sort of time that he wants to get, or that when he's on, just doesn't be able to contribute enough into our game. It's just very. It's not the sort of football that he's comfortable playing under Arteta. I feel, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he just doesn't have the time. But again, he's a very young player. He's only 24, 25, so he has that potential to improve. But for me, it has to be Torreira.
I think for me, there've been a few. Let's not sugarcoat. There have been a few terrible players. But for me, even with Emery coming in, sorry, with when Emery was here, when Arsene was here, and Arteta is here, there's only one name that stands out like a sore thumb. Has to be Kolasinac. Um, I
I
just
mean,
haven't seen
I mean,
anything.
he did defend Ozil and fight off those
I
thugs at
mean,
the start of the
I mean
season.
that's been I think his only contribution to Arsenal. For a player who was part of the Bundesliga Team of the Year, and he came on a free 3 years ago, 4 years ago, to have just, whether it was the system or even if it's not system, just be completely unaware of what's happening around him. In the Wolves game, I can think of the number of times he's given the ball away. Everything that we used to accuse Zhakov, who managed to cut all of his mistakes out, even on the Arteta, this guy just doesn't seem to have, um, you know,
Improved.
cut that shit out.
Yeah.
It's horrible. We need like a proper replacement. We need a replacement there. We need somebody who can deputize for
Tierney.
Tierney. Um, and that's saying something, that Tierney has just been fabulous. He's a legend already. He's got his own fan club now. Our own Tesco
Oh, yeah.
boy. So I think Kolasinac for me, it's yeah, get rid ASAP.
I mean, there are a few players that we need to get rid of. But just before we talk about Don Raul and end the segment, you spoke about the worst player of the season. Who's the surprise player of the season? Not player of the season, but a surprise performer of the season for you.
Surprise performer. Okay, that's interesting. Uh, I would say I mean, I don't think he's played enough this season, but I would say Maitland-Niles, to have been called out of the blue, to have not played enough, to have then played a major part in our FA Cup wins. There's also some of the other league wins that to help Arteta build that foundation that was so desperately required. I think Maitland-Niles has been surprising for me. I didn't think he'd do as good a job as a fullback, because he clearly fancies himself as a midfielder, but hey, if he can change positions and become a fullback for us, I think that position is sorted for years to come. Because the right back position is up there for taking. Because Bellerin hasn't been the most convincing. So if he wants to stick around, and if he does stick around and plays in that fullback position, he has a guaranteed starting spot in the team over Bellerin, and that's saying something.
Before I give you my surprise player of the season, if an offer came in and you had to sell either Bellerin or Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who would you sell?
Oh, that's tough. Uh, Just out of sentimentality, I would keep Bellerin because he's an Arsenal boy.
So is Ainsley.
Maitland-Niles as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
but Ainsley, I don't know. I think I'm slightly more have a bit of much more of a fondness for Bellerin than I do for Ainsley. Because Ainsley's high altitude issues over the last year, 2 years, but Bellerin is Arsenal through and through. So I would say I would keep Bellerin. No, I'm not averse to letting them go. I'd be more hurt if Bellerin leaves or if both leave. But out of the two, I'd keep Bellerin and let Maitland-Niles go.
Right. So my surprise player of the season, I mean, special mention to Kieran Tierney, because I mean, didn't expect him to come down from Celtic and to be this solid so fast, right? Obviously, he had an injury hit season, uh, didn't really get going. But under Arteta, under the last 8-10 games, you could see the sort of player that he is and how vital he is, and how much Arteta loves him because he's willing to just listen to whatever the manager says and he executes it brilliantly, right? But then again, you'd expect something like that from Kieran Tierney because you knew what you were signing from. and where he was coming from after winning so many
I
things
mean,
with Celtic.
let's not forget, Celtic is a serial trophy winner in Scotland, so he
Is a
knows what it's like to win. I
powerhouse.
mean, I mean, I get it that you want to write them off because they're
Yeah,
not one of the big leagues and whatnot, but Celtic is a powerhouse of Scottish
powerhouse.
football, and yeah, so that pressure to perform was always there,
Yeah,
and they won like 9 titles in a row or some shit
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not easy, and he was captain of the club as well, so he knows what it's like to win.
Yes. So that's the thing. So that's which is why I'm not going to give it to him. I'm actually going to give my surprise player of the season to a German. It's not Mesut Ozil, but I'm going to give it to Skodran Mustafi because
Uh,
there was a point when everyone was talking like how you spoke about Kolasinac and how everybody would speak about Granit Xhaka having to leave. I think everybody knew that Mustafi was a mistake waiting to happen, and under Arteta, Mustafi looked like I think he lost his place there. I don't think he was starting. Also, I think it was Socrates and David Luiz starting, and Chambers went ahead of him. Um, who, Rob Holding went
Chambers, Holding,
Holding. They all
Rob
went ahead.
Holding.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think Scotland Mustafi was even making the bench. And then came Arteta and the rise of Mustafi, the turnaround from I forget the rise, the turnaround that Mustafi showed, and he was solid, right? He I remember the start of the season when we signed David Luiz. I remember tweeting out saying that, oh my god, we're basically signing a clown to play with another clown, right? And I said Arsenal defense is going to be all over the place, which it was. But for the two of them to redeem themselves after what a horrendous season that they had in the start, for them to come back. So my surprise player of the season has to be Muscat and Mustafi. I hope. I don't know. I mean, there talks of we giving him a new contract as well. I mean, he definitely deserves it over the last 15 games that he's played for us. If we can keep him and keep him on the bench, he'd be a handy player to have. But yeah, I mean, for me, surprise player of the season, Scotland Mustafi.
Uh, Final segment for today. Um, News breaking over the last 5 6 hours. Don Raul has left the club.
Gone Raul.
For Don Raul has gone. Raul. Um, your thoughts? I mean, he's. It's been the three people that were signed on to form the committee that after Gazidis left, Mislintat, Raul, and Gazidis, who bought an Emery, the think tank, are all gone now. Um, Raul, I remember when he first came in, I was kind of excited because after hearing the stuff that he done at Barca, I was hoping, wow, this guy is like built Barca, like title winning teams at Barca, so he knows what it's about. He knows like to get the job done. Even though he has a checkered past, um, but I'm I don't know. I'm sort of I have no emotion about Raul leaving. I'm happy that he's gone because some of the stuff that he's done, like wanting to give Emery a new contract when we were in the middle of a horrible run, to apparently um, something wrong with the Pepe deal. I don't know, to have massively overpaid for a player. I don't know the details of it. Obviously, I think it's all going to come out in next few days as people get to talk more about this. But um, with Kia as well, apparently the links with signing the Kia players. Maybe they're restructuring. Maybe this is the Kronk is realizing that we've been swindled by someone who knows the ins and outs of the game, and we don't because we couldn't be bothered about Arsenal anyways. So yeah, hopefully this is a good move, and I hope it doesn't affect our transfer business. But um, let's see. I mean, I have no positive or negative emotions about it. I'm just very neutral about it.
See, the thing is, I'm only basing my judgment on Raul basis of whatever we hear on Twitter, right? And like,
Yeah.
I mean, you and me both don't know that if he really wanted to give Emery the contract, or was it just somebody just putting it out on Twitter. Uh, as far as I know, there are a lot of people that are really happy, and I'm happy as well because we were kind of moving away from that scouting structure, especially after having let go 55 of the staff, and most of them being scouts who've been let go.
Scouts.
to then it being just driven by agent contacts and agent, it was something that Wenger always wanted to stay away from, super agents. And it seems like our club is being run by Kia. Now, I don't know whether Raul's close to Kia or if somebody else is close to Kia, but um, it just kind of felt wrong. But at the same time, I can't complain because Raul gave us a tremendous window last year. I mean, we signed Martinelli, we signed Pepe, we signed Ceballos, we signed
Tierney,
Tierney,
Ceballos,
yeah,
Saliba.
Saliba. So, I mean, like you mentioned, let's just hope that it doesn't affect our transfer business. But the good thing is, right now the talks are that both Edu and Arteta are leading the transfers, and so I'm happy in a way because Arteta seems like the sort of person who knows what he needs to make a team work. Something, I mean, it's becoming more of a structure like where it was under Wenger, where he was more in control about signings than somebody else signing players and then you having to fit them in, right? So in that, I see it as a positive because I know Arteta is seeing the team every day and he's seeing his players every day. And for him to say that, okay, I'm missing a person here, I'm missing a person here, I need the person to fill up a gap here. And for him to do that, and if Edu can go and get the job done, now I don't know if Edu's uh, skills are going to be as good as Raul's skills to convince the player or convince or sweeten the deal. But let's just hope, like you mentioned, that none of the transfer dealings get affected. I feel the timing of the story coming out is the worst right now. Maybe they could have either done it a little earlier or they could have pushed it a little later after the season started or after our signings have been done. But it coming out right now is a little. I don't know. I just hope it doesn't destabilize the club because again, 55 people let off. Talks of a Huss family going out as well, and Raul's already gone. So uh, let's hope it doesn't destabilize the club. I think there were talks of somebody mentioning that uh, somebody else wants to come and buy the club over as well, right? And so there are lots of talks on Twitter. You never know which one is right, which one is wrong. But
I mean, we have a gerbil now on Twitter, so I wouldn't put anybody anything past anybody right now. So
Arsenal Twitter on strings by a mole, a horse, Arsenal Bell.
three horses and a gerbil.
But good news apparently, like Arsenal Bell come out and said that the Thomas Partey deal should happen. So let's hope that we can get that done because it's something that we desperately need. I don't know how much of an impact he's going to have, but if he can come in and do a job, and I'm sure if Arteta and everybody's identified him as a person that we require, then I'm all for it. Spending a big chunk of money.
Final question for you before we call it. Excited about Willian?
Yes and no. Yes, because he comes with bags of experience. He's free. He's still. I mean, Oba's 31. He's just turned 32. I'm not saying that he's completely finished. He can come. He's very versatile. He can play across the front line. He can play the left, right, center. Um, and if you see, he was Chelsea's best player last year. 7 assists and some many 7 8 goals.
Yeah.
So he's done that. He's proven and he's proven it for a while that Chelsea playing not in his favorable position, which is apparently he favors playing through the middle, but he's playing through the right. So excited because he's free. He's got the Premier League experience. He'll hit the ground running. Arteta has identified him as the person who can come in, basically uh, move the ball through intricate spaces. And if Arteta's got a plan and he's seeing what we can do, excited for that. Not excited because what does that mean? If is he going to be a guaranteed starter? Is he going to play in the number 10, or is he going to come and play on the right? If that means are we going to take Pepe out of the team? Does that, or is he going to play on the left? If that means are we going to move over to the center? That means less playing time for Saka, Martinelli, Oba, Laka. So, I mean, obviously having players and having competition for players is great, but where do we fit him is the question. That's the only thing that I'm dissatisfied about. Otherwise, I'm happy with the signing, free player.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think a point that you that I might want to add on is he's good at set pieces as well. We have someone who we haven't had someone who is good at set pieces for the longest time now. I think my only concern is the age piece. Not to say that players after a certain age don't perform. You still have Vardy who's banging in goals at 33. You have insanely players who are freaks of nature like Ronaldo who are still banging in goals at 35. And of course, yeah, like you said, he is was Chelsea's best player this season. So no, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be interesting to see what he line up with. I have a feeling that it'll probably be um, he might play on the left or he might play as a number 10 because the right side of the forward will probably be Pepe only. But let's see. That's all for next season. Thanks, Ashwin. This has been fun, and thank you guys for tuning in. Our socials are again once at the bottom, and do sign up, subscribe to our channel, and please click the bell icon, spread the word, and yeah, we'll see you guys very soon. Thanks, Ashwin.
Thank you.